What's going on here? Hey Gamer. Sorry about Nightbot. Nightbot can be a bit strict sometimes. He doesn't like caps. Not too many caps anyway. But it's good to see you, Gamer. My apologies for Nightbot being so strict. Billy Von Filster. I am a professional 3D artist. I work in architectural visualization now, but I used to work in games development, and I've also worked doing film cinema work. So yes, I've been working in 3D for more than 10 years now. I am an Aussie, not a British, an Aussie. Aussie is correct. Yep, I'm in Melbourne in Australia. And yeah, I work as an arch viz artist now, but I was game art and film prior to that. But it's arch viz now. Have you been to Melbourne game art? Always curious to see how you guys get around. Home of the Australian tennis team. Yep, Slam. Yep, that's it. You wish. It's a nice city. I've lived in Melbourne. Gee, a bit of a while now. It's been about more than 15 years. I'm originally from Queensland, though, which is up the top end of Australia, but now I'm right down the bottom. How do I like New Zealand? I love New Zealand. New Zealand's beautiful. If I didn't live in Melbourne, I'd probably live in New Zealand. It's a lovely, lovely place. As you guys that have watched Lord of the Rings will know, some of the landscapes in New Zealand are just breathtaking, beautiful. And I've made a couple of trips there for work. They have a lot. Is it Weta Digital? I think the company that did the effects for the Lord of the Rings. He's New Zealand. They're a New Zealand-based company, so a lot of film work is done there. And yeah, the environments are beautiful. And I like to take. I have a texture library, so every time I go anywhere, I take my camera with me and always make sure I take photographs of things to add to my texture library, because you never know when they're going to come in handy. So I've taken quite a few texture shots in New Zealand that I can use in my work and I have used over the years. Beautiful place. A little bit small though. My only criticism would be that it's a bit small, as in population-wise. More work. Well, that's not necessarily true nowadays with 3D anyway. You can get work anywhere in the world, so. Gamer Art says, have you seen a lot of the terrifying critters in Ausland? Sydney funnelweb, inland tapion and redback spiders? No. While they do exist and they are around and they are very dangerous, particularly redbacks, if they bite you, you'll die. They're not common. Oh, not in cities anyway. You're not gonna put your shoes on in the morning in your apartment in Melbourne and get bitten by a redback. It's not gonna happen. Or a funnel web or anything like that. The only thing you really got to worry about in Australia is crocodiles. If you go to the north, they're only in the Northern Territory anyway. They're dangerous. You don't go swimming and things. We have a lot of tourists often come to the country. A lot of European tourists that see, lovely places to swim up in the Northern Territory, and the Northern Territory is very hot, so it's always like 34 degrees and very humid. So they want to go swimming, but those places are infested with crocodiles, and they're huge crocodiles. I mean, we're talking, you can get crocodiles that are like 5 meters long. They're huge, and they'll gobble you up as quick as anything. And we've had some tourists die and go missing, because what they do is when they grab you, they take you underwater and they stick you amongst the mangroves, because they eat rotten flesh. So half the time they can't even be found. These tourists can't be found because the crocodiles have actually taken them and put them in their little larder under the water. So be careful of crocs if you come to Australia into the north. They're only in the Northern Territory. Don't go swimming. Not in rivers and things. It's just too dangerous. Game Art says that Australian spiders don't need to bite bite you to kill you. If you saw a funnel web or a redback in your house, you'd have a catastrophic heart attack. Look, I can relate. I hate spiders. I hate them. No, just daddy long legs, really, really innocuous spiders that wouldn't hurt you if they tried, or couldn't hurt you if they tried. I can't go anywhere near them. I'll run in the opposite direction simply because, I don't know, it must be all those legs, I think. It just creeps me out. Spiders. No, I don't like spiders. So I know where you're coming from. I'm the same way. But yeah, you don't have to worry about redbacks or funnel webs much. If you go out into the country, maybe a little bit more, but certainly not in the cities or in the suburbs of the cities. It's crocodiles that are the real problem. And they're protected too, crocodiles, so you can't kill them. Game Art says, you live in Trumpland. Oh, my sympathies. Although I shouldn't say that. The US is a great place to live. Donald Trump is maybe not so great, but hey, everyone's opinions are different, so. New Zealand and Australia just seem like as close to Shangri-La as it comes. I wouldn't say that they're Shangri-La. We've got some horrors over here as well, don't worry. Some of our politicians are pretty bad. But as far as the country itself goes, it's a nice place to live. It's pretty relaxed. Everybody here, yeah, they're all pretty relaxed. Which is good. Let's import that. So it's certainly a nice place to live. I won't say it's not. But I wouldn't mind living in the US, but I'd probably want to live somewhere like Seattle, say the top of the US there. Eddie Brock Alpha says, cooking fish and your cat is going crazy for it. Rock cod, oh okay. Game Art says you've had a lot of opportunities in 3D. You do, that's why I'd like to go back over to the US. I've done work for studios in the US from Australia. I haven't actually lived in the US, but I have done work for companies over there. Eddie says Seattle is nice. You live in Oregon? Yeah, I'd like to live Seattle. I'd like to live in Seattle. I like Seattle too because of the climate. I like a cool climate. That's why I moved to the bottom of Australia, because the top of Australia is really hot and the bottom is relatively cool, most times anyway. Hi Sidad, good to see you. Sidad says he loves Seattle. He lived there. Yeah, I'd like to live in Seattle. Seattle's supposed to be a lot like Melbourne, where I live now, from what I've been told. Similar type of city. And of course Microsoft's headquarters are there, and a lot of the tech companies are up there as well. I know quite a few Twitch streamers actually live in Seattle too, like Dan's Gaming. I think he lives in Seattle. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he does. So yeah, a lot of the Twitch guys hail from Seattle as well, streamers. So if I lived in the US, and I would like to, I'd probably live in Seattle. Although Oregon looked really pretty too. Do you remember there was a TV show called Grimm, Grimm? That was Portland. It was filmed in Portland, and that looked really lovely too. Eddie says that Seattle gets more rain than the US, but it's quite rural, similar to Portland. Okay, or Seattle has. Oh well, that's I liked, like I said, when I watched the show Grimm, and I noticed that Grimm was being filmed in Portland. It looked very pretty. Sidad says if you had to live in the US, you'd go back to Seattle for sure. Cool. Hail Mary 26. Hello. Says that Oregon is a rainforest and past. Well, that sounds lovely. I like rainforest. That does sound nice. And Eddie Brock Alpha says, yeah, Portland's pretty nice. Gresham and Beaverton are nice too. Okay. Yeah, I was a bit annoyed that they stopped making Grimm. I really liked that show. I thought it was quite good. For one of those, detective come, I don't know what you'd call it, fantasy type programs. Eddie says that Oregon has more trees than the whole than the whole US. Cool. I always like the sound of the Appalachians. Now I know that I don't want to live there, but the name sounds beautiful. Appalachian Mountains. I know that's nowhere near Seattle, but yeah. Let's take the color, no, we don't want the height, we want the color, the metallic, the DirectX, normal, and the roughness. But yeah, no, definitely, I would like to live in Seattle. And thank you for reminding me there that it's been imported as a normal. I don't know why Epic put that in. Telling you that one of them's been imported as a normal map. I know it's a normal map, I don't need to be told. I don't know. I'm sure they've done it for a reason. Johan the creator, good to see you too, buddy. Says could go for Denver, it's right next to the Rocky Mountains. Okay. Yeah, the Rockies look nice. And it's good to see you, Johan. Billy von Filster, are you going to make an art station? Game Art is asking me. I do actually have an art station account, but I don't put my work on it. I did create one though, not that long ago though, maybe only about 6 months or 12 months ago, but yeah, none of my work is on ArtStation. Simply because I have my own website where I have my portfolio and things. ArtStation's a great tool for you guys that want to set up a portfolio but don't want to pay for web hosting and all that sort of stuff because it's free. But because I have my own website at phildoes3d.com and I have 2 stores, 3D stores. I generally put my work on my own website. I don't put it on ArtStation, but ArtStation can be good for networking as well. So don't get me wrong, I probably should. So I do have an ArtStation gamer art. I just don't have any work on it, showing on it. And Eddie says Seattle is only about 3 hours drive from Portland, Oregon, so you can visit all the nice camping spots in Oregon if you go to Seattle. Cool. Well, that's good to know. I thought Portland was pretty close to Seattle. Game Art says not just the free aspect, which is great, but you find the ArtStation really great for networking. Yeah, networking I can understand as well. Thank you for the follow to Game Art 101. I do appreciate it, guys, when you follow my Twitch channel. No, yeah, I can see the benefit of networking on ArtStation for sure. I've just been a bit slack and a bit busy with work to really look into uploading any of my work to ArtStation. But I do have an ArtStation account. You will see Phil Does 3D account on ArtStation, just there's nothing in it though. But I'll look into doing that. I do actually want to update my Phil Does 3D website gallery to include a bit more recent work. Some of the work on it I did a couple of years ago, and it's always a good idea as a 3D artist with your portfolio just to refresh it every now and then with some new stuff you've done. Game Art says your graphics aren't loading for me at Phil Does 3D site. No, you don't need Flash. No, it's all HTML5 and CSS3. phildoes3d.com. Do give it a minute though, because if you go to the site, you're saying it's loading up black. Let me just open it up and go to my website. You'll notice that it won't load immediately, and that's because the HTML5 banner is quite large, and when I say large, it's about 1 megabyte, and it just takes a minute or 2 to load up. So you see that this is already loaded, whereas the banner is still loading. There we go. Yeah, just give it I've noticed too, and I use Cloudflare to cache my website all around the world, and I've noticed there may be a problem with Cloudflare at the moment. It's taking a little longer sometimes to load up the website, so just give it a minute and it should pop into view. A go for Zenon says it's not loading for him either. So you can't even go to my website, is that what you're saying, or it's just all the banner is showing up black? Johan says that he's glad that Flash is going bye-bye. Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with Flash. I mean, Flash was good. Just security risk, that's all. There was a lot of security problems with Flash. Game Art 101, thank you. I'm glad you dig my work. I'm glad you think I have talent. It's always nice to hear people like my work. I spend so much time looking at it when I'm creating it. It can be hard to sort of step back and look at it objectively sometimes. Which is why it's always good for you guys that do 3D and making stuff for your portfolio to ask a few people what they think, because a fresh set of eyes can see things that you can miss because you've been staring at it for so long. And Sidad says that there's no pics for you either. And Go Presenter says the banner is black. Just wait a minute or two. I think Cloudflare may be having some issues because the site is actually not hosted on Cloudflare but cached on Cloudflare. Yeah, so I'll look into actually maybe trying to improve that, because I noticed it myself this morning when I loaded up my website. It took a good 30 seconds for the banner to pop in, and that's too long. So I'll see what's going on there and maybe see if I can reduce the size of the banner a bit. But yeah, you don't need Flash for this website, it's all HTML5. GameArt says, hey, have you tried Octane? It cost you about $500 and it's been worth every penny. You can render lighting fast, so you get far more work done. I haven't tried Octane, no. I generally use V-Ray, because that's what the studio uses to do all of its ArchViz renders. And I use it also to do the model shots for my 3D stores as well. I use V-Ray generally. I haven't tried Octane, I should give it a go. And Sidad says it's loaded now. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thanks for telling me about the slow load. I'll look at I'll log into Cloudflare later and see what's going on there and see if I can because generally it shouldn't take that long. I've noticed it is taking longer, and I have a feeling it's something to do with Cloudflare and the way that they're caching it. There could be a problem with Cloudflare at the moment. It should not take that long. It's not a huge file to load in. The banner, like I said, it's about 1 megabyte, I think. GameArt says it's lightning fast. Yeah, I know what you meant, GameArt. And Keds says Octane has a subscription for $20. That's pretty cool. $20 is nothing. $20 a month, yeah, no, that's good. It's indeed very good renderer. Yeah, I will check it out. And GameArt says he used V-Ray and it's nice, but you found it cumbersome and time consuming to create the right effects and balance noise. Maybe because I've used V-Ray for quite a few years now, I can see where you're coming from. It can be a bit temperamental to get rid of noise, but the new version of V-Ray now has a denoiser that you can add as a filter to your render, so you don't have to muck around so much with the number of photons and all that sort of stuff to get a clean render. You just run the denoiser filter as part of the render, and it does a pretty good job. So you get the benefit of a faster render because you don't have to up the photons, but a clean render by using the denoiser filter. Ked says it has some limitations though. Limitation to 2 GPU per machine, while the full license doesn't have a limit on that. No network rendering as well. Autodesk removed Mental Ray from 3D Studio Max. This is version 2018 of Max. And Mental Ray is not included with Max anymore, and Mental Ray is the renderer that was created by NVIDIA. So they removed Mental Ray. They added something called the Art Renderer, I think it is, or let me just check. No, it's got another name. Let me just have a quick look. I don't use it, so I don't remember the name that they're calling it. They added Arnold Renderer. So they removed Mental Ray and added Arnold. Now I played around with Arnold and I really don't like it. It's really limited and really basic. And while you can download Mental Ray from NVIDIA for free, I don't think you can do network rendering. It's only on the one machine, and that's pretty useless really. If you can't do a network render, because I've got 3 machines in my home here I network render. So yeah, it's not good for me, pretty useless for me. GameArt says, oh wow, you used to have to jack up samples. So yeah, that was you used to have to, but part of V-Ray 3.6 now, 3.603 or 4, I can't remember, which is this toolbar you see here is V-Ray. they added a denoiser filter, which does an amazing job of cleaning up your render for you without having to up the samples too much. But that's only been included, I think, in the new versions of V-Ray. What have we got here? Which made renders take out? Yeah, it did. If you have to up the buckets, it will, the samples and things, it's going to slow your render down. But that's what this new filter is for. It does a great job. It's Game Art says that I use Mouya. If you're a 3D Studio Max guy, there's a renderer called Firestorm or F-Storm. It's very good and new. I haven't heard of that before. I'll have to check that out too, because I am a Max guy. It's extremely fast. F-Storm is Max only. Okay, as far as you know. I'll check that out because I am a Max guy. I do like V-Ray though, I have to admit. It does the job well and does it relatively quickly when you take in network rendering into account. That and the fact that you can use GPU and CPU at the same time to do renders now in V-Ray. That's multiple GPUs on multiple machines as well as multiple CPUs on multiple machines. So it can really speed it up in V-Ray, the new version of V-Ray. Ked says that there are a few ways to reduce noise on Octane without amping up the number of samples. He tested Arnold, and due to it being CPU based, that's what got you to buy Octane. I can understand that, but only because of that. Octane has also allows you to use slave PCs to help on the render. Yeah, V-Ray does too. And I did not like Arnold. I played with it when they introduced it in Max here in 2018, and I really didn't like it. It's too basic. There's a lot of stuff you can't do in it. You can't render with it. It's just really basic. Now, I don't know if that's just a version that they're including in Max that's basic, but I didn't like it, and I won't use it. I'll stick to using V-Ray. But I do want to check out this F-Storm that the Game Art is talking about, because I'm a 3D guy and I always like to keep up on what the latest things are in 3D. Game Art says, do you know if V-Ray can still CPU based? Do I know if V-Ray is still CPU based or have they added GPU? They have added GPU options. If I jump into my setup here, and Game Art says, yeah, I'll never knock V-Ray, it's so versatile, lots of options, beautiful renders. It does really nice renders, which is why a lot of the ArchViz studios use it. If I just pop into V-Ray here, well, let's go into the RT one to begin with. If you look through here, you can choose the engine type from CPU, OpenCL or CUDA. And you can also select the renderers, so you can choose it to use the CPU as well as the GPU. And that's on every machine in network rendering as well. So I have three other computers in the apartment. And when I do a distributed render, it'll use the CPU and the GPU on all of the other two machines as well as this one to do a network render, which speeds things up a lot. And Kids says, well, I didn't like Arnold either. Yeah, Octane is easier and faster, like Preview. Live Preview is also way faster than Arnold. Not only that, but it was a big plus for you. Yeah, okay. And actually, the price sounds really, really reasonable. You can buy it for $500 or rent it for $20 a month. I mean, that's excellent. Really good. Because I know V-Ray costs more than that. Although, again, V-Ray allow you to buy a student license if you're a student, and it's pretty reasonable. I think you have to, I think it only lasts a year, though, the student license on V-Ray. And Game Art says, I don't work for Octane or anything. You just think it's a very good deal. It is a good deal, I agree. Far less expensive than Keyshot and as good if not better. Yep, I agree. I haven't used it. I will look into it, but V-Ray does what I need and does it well, and I'm used to V-Ray. And like I said, with the new denoiser filter that you can apply to your render, it does a great job. And I really like the fact now that you can render on both CPU and GPU at the same time. So it's not like, oh, I have to only render on the CPU or I have to only render on the GPU. The new version of V-Ray, you can do both at the same time. Kedza says, yeah, $500 for the full license. This is Octane we're talking about. Plus, if you want to upgrade when a new version comes out from version 3 to version 4, it's $25 for the upgrade. That's pretty good. For the first few weeks, then it becomes $50. That's still pretty good. Game Art says, now I've heard that Arnold is supposedly one of the top engines, but you guys don't seem to care for it at all. Yeah. You've never used it, but you know a lot of film studios use it. I don't like it. I don't understand why it's being used as much as it is, because it's basic in my opinion. As a renderer goes, Arnold we're talking about here, it's too basic. Now again, I'm only judging it based on its implementation here in 3D Studio Max. And this could be a cut down version that they're using for Max, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's supposed to be the full Arnold renderer, minus the network rendering. You can't network render with the one that you get for free built into Max, which is useless in itself. If you can't do a network distributed render, I don't want to use it. Because I mean, you know, I've got 2 other machines here and I want to be able to use them all. So that's my reason, number 1, for not liking Arnold. And number 2, when I did do a couple of test scenes using the Arnold renderer, pardon me, I found the lighting very basic. I found the material shader creation very cumbersome and very basic. I really didn't like it. But then I'm used to using V-Ray, and V-Ray has been around a lot longer, I think. And yeah, so its features are great, V-Ray. So. Kedza says he was talking about Octane. Yep. Game Art says, have I ever used Maxwell or Redshift? Pardon me, let me just grab a quick drink, guys. No, I haven't used Maxwell or Redshift. Game Art. No. Basically, the renderers I've spent most time with were Mental Ray when it was built into Max, but I still preferred V-Ray over Mental Ray. And V-Ray, of course, because that's what I use as a day-to-day driver now at work. And I've played around with Arnold, but I don't like it at all, and I won't use it. But I will check out Octane, and I do want to check out this F-Storm that you're talking about as well, for sure. But I love V-Ray, love it, love it. Beautiful renders. I love the CPU GPU mixed rendering now. And it's used in a lot of ArchViz studios. They use V-Ray. Now, I don't know about film work much anymore, whether they've switched to Arnold. I don't see why they would, because I don't like it. I think it's awful. Arnold is just awful. I wouldn't want to use it. Not as my day-to-day renderer, that's for sure. Have you used Maxwell or Redshift Game Art? Nope, you didn't connect. Roughness. I just want to explain what's going on here too, guys. Now, I'm saving out my my metallic, my normal, and my roughness as 3 separate files. It's not the best way to do it. Pardon me. In Substance Painter, you have a template for UE4, and if you use that template for UE4, it saves all of those different textures into one texture, just using the red, green, and blue channel. That's a better way to go if you're making a game, because you're going to save texture memory doing it that way. Because I'm not making a game though, I'm not really worried about it. Game Art says negative. You've used Mental Ray, V-Ray, Keyshot, Turtle, and Octane. Well, that's still quite a few. Yeah, no, I haven't used them either. I have heard good things about Maxwell. I'm not familiar with Redshift. No, but I've heard good things about Maxwell, but I haven't used it. I haven't used Keyshot, Turtle, or Octane personally either, Game Art. You've got more experience with them than I have. So, Game Art, are you saying now that, because I see you say you've used B-Ray, Mental Ray, Keyshot, Turtle, and Octane. Do you prefer Octane over all of them now? I'm just curious because I love V-Ray, but I haven't used Octane, so I don't know. I'm just curious to know whether you think Octane is better than V-Ray because you've used both. Let's apply that. And let's save it. I'm just going to rename this left hall floor material underscore MAT for material. I hit the caps lock. I'm wondering why I'm not getting capitals. There we go. And just for housekeeping, if ever I have to come back, make sure you have good housekeeping and rename things so you won't take hours trying to find something. And let's I'm just going to rename this underscore MSH for mesh. I always like just to make sure I know from looking at something exactly what it's supposed to be. Let's drag that in. Now this is going to be way too small. Alright, now this is one of those settings I think I was talking about before, because I've upgraded the engine and I changed my settings on import. My pivot point is at the world position and I don't like that. I'm just going to delete that. Game Art says, great question. Yes, you prefer Octane over V-Ray due to the raw speed. You get more work done. You don't like how Octane handles some things. You think V-Ray does certain things better. You also find V-Ray and other CPU renderers to have slightly softer feel than GPU renderers. GPU engines tend to be slightly harsher and more intense. Yeah, I think I know what you mean by that. And Game Art says that one of the absolute most annoying things about Octane is how they do mixed materials. Okay. You should check out, if you get a chance, because you can download if you don't want to buy V-Ray, you can download a trial version of it and give it a go, because the new version is pretty good. You can do CPU and GPU renders at the same time. Use the CPU and GPU, and it's much faster. And Game Art says in V-Ray you can combine 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. materials together. Yep. And an Octane has a cap of 2. Yeah, that'd be no good for me. 2 material mixes is not enough. I need more than 2 for just about any 3D work that I end up doing. Even Unreal here for my landscapes, I'm using 6. Which means that if you want to mix 4 materials, you need to make a mix, then another mix with that mix, yep, and so on. Yeah, I understand what you mean. A lot more work to get the same result. Yep. Well, you can get more than 2, but you got to create a long, annoying tree of mixes. Yeah, which would be annoying, particularly if you're starting to use a lot. Yep. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I'm sure that they probably will improve that though, hopefully, because 2 seems a bit. Using only 2 mixes and then having to do a mix and then mixing mixes is a bad way to go. Not a bad way, but a much more cumbersome way to get there. Yeah, I'm sure they probably will. Yeah, it gets confusing. Yeah, I can see it would. It's an important part of 3D, so I'm sure that they will probably improve on 2. I'm just going to re-import this model and check my import settings again, because it's not, so it's moving my pivot position. There is a setting in the import to change to stop that, so I'm going to re-import it here and check where that setting is. If this option is true, the node absolute transform, offset and pivot. Let me turn that off and do a re-import. Could be because my mesh is off as well. I should have checked it in max, but let me just drag this in and see. Yeah, it looks like it might be. Going to delete that. I'm going to jump into max and check that my pivot is correct. My pivot does look correct in max. As you can see, it's in the middle of the floor. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to throw down a reset X form on it. Collapse the stack. Again, I'm just going to make sure my pivot is centered to the object. And we'll re-export it one more time and see if that fixes that problem. Now, just to explain what the issue here with UE4, by default, any object you export from your 3D program, whether that's Max, Mouya, Blender, whatever, Unreal Engine 4 defaults to the 0, 0, 0 world coordinate position. So even though my asset here is off to the side and not at 0, say 0, 0 is where the house is, my object here is off to the side. So when I import it into Unreal, it's going to move my pivot to the 0, 0, 0 world position. It's not going to be centered on my object. That's the default way that Unreal works. Now I turn that off because I don't want to have to move everything to 0 world coordinates before I export. So I like to lay all my assets out like this so I can see what I've worked on, what I need to work on. So I find that defaulting to 0 world position really annoying, and there is an option in Unreal to turn it off. I'm just going to re-import this one more time to see if that fixed the problem. There we go. I don't think it did fix the problem. We'll find out. I'll just try and drag it into the level one more time. No, it didn't. So what it's doing is it's importing it at 0, 0, and I don't want that. So I'm going to re-import it again. So I'm going to import a new version. And there is a setting here in the import dialog. Again, because I updated the version of the engine, it's defaulted back to the way it used to work, and I don't want it to do that. I thought it was that setting there. Move, Dustin, reverse. I was sure it was that option there though. No, I may have moved things around slightly in the new version of the engine for all I know. Let's try importing it here. There we go. Now it's centered to the object. I thought that was the one. So, just to recap, you have to turn that option off, deselect it, de-tick it to actually get your pivot position back at the center of the object and not at the 0 world coordinate, which is the way it defaults to on UE4 when you first install the engine. Again, there are reasons that they do it, I think, and one of them is to make it easy for you to, if you're working with modular pieces of geometry that you're putting together into a level in Unreal, having everything at 0, 0, 0 will allow you then to will make it easier for you to fit those modular pieces together, if that makes sense.